Hey besties, happy St. Patty Day. I'm so excited for today because if you didn't know, my favorite color is green and basically everyone is forced to wear my favorite color today. I'm so excited for this video. I'm going to show you a bunch of green books that I had in my collection and that I've read and that I recommend them. I'm so happy I get to combine my favorite color with my favorite hobby, reading, and show you a bunch of green books that I thoroughly love. Let's get straight into it. This is a little silly, but for someone who loves the color green, I don't have a lot of green stuff. I'm wearing everything that I can. I have on a green tank top, some green jewelry, and then I have this hat, but I just don't think I am a hat girly. Like, I don't think it looks good on me. I don't know why. I just don't look like myself. We will be excluding the hat for now, but just know that I tried my best to wear as much green as I possibly could, even down to my socks. My socks are more like neon green, but they're green nonetheless. You can't pinch me, but if you're not wearing green, I'll pinch you. Not that I really could. I have a stack of books in front of me, but I want to start off with Last Call at the Local, not because I just finished this like yesterday, but it is so fitting. The color green, well, all of these books are green, but he is Irish and he owns a pub, so he's drinking beer and she drinks beer, which is like basically this holiday. I actually don't know the history of St. Patty's Day, so I don't know if that's accurate, but this is a really, really good book. It's so amazing. I listened to it on audiobook and I thought their narration was incredible. It's dual point of view. I believe there were two narrators, and so that bounce back and forth and tapping into each character mind is just so phenomenal. It was done super well and I really felt the shift, like, okay, I'm jumping into Jax, the male main character head, and then the female main character, Rain. I really love that switch back and forth. But a little bit more about the book. This is about Rain. She was once a medical student and she comes from a family of doctors, and this was basically the path that was craved for her since she was little. But in her heart, she didn't want to be a doctor. And so right before she finished up med school, she decides to drop out, drop everything, and pursue her passions of being a singer, songwriter, and just performer and artist. And she wanted to travel, so she did just that. And she found herself in Ireland. And she kind of was like a street performer is what she called herself. Until one day, all of her stuff gets stolen. And she's like, God, what are the chances? You know, what are in these cards? She ends up at a pub looking for a phone charger, and that's when she runs into Jack, the owner, the owner of the pub, and he is looking for kind of like an experience coordinator for his pub. That's how they meet, and she starts working for him, and things are kicking up kind of quickly, but they're trying their best to be professional. That tension is just so phenomenal. I love it. I love their story. I think they're just so freaking cute. They're so sweet. They take care of each other super well. They're so empathetic with each other. They listen to each other. They concern about each other. She has ADHD, he has OCD, and I love tapping into their head and like learning more about them and learning their thought process and why they communicate, how they communicate. Like, she has ADHD, so the way she talks, like, things bounce back and forth, but like hearing it from her point of view, it just all makes sense. And then learning more about him and like his internal thoughts and like what he doesn't say out loud just makes him so much more of a lovable character. I love these two so freaking much. They're everything to me. I'm just so glad I read this. It came out in the beginning of the year and I'm kind of kicking myself for waiting until March to read it because it's phenomenal. Anyways, moving on. I feel like this is a book I haven't talked about in a long time, but it recently went back on my For You page, and so I'm glad the hype is kind of getting out there again. This is Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. This is the second book in the Dreamland Billionaire series, so if you love yourself Disneyland, if you love billionaires, merge that all together and you have this series. This is the second book. It's about Declan and Iris, and Declan is the oldest in the Brotherhood. Declan, Cal, then Rowan. Like, that's the order. Declan is the second book, and personally this is my favorite in the whole entire series. I gave this one a 4 stars. The first one, which is Rowan's book, I gave it 3 stars. The last one I gave like a 2.5. So Declan has a special place in my heart. Like, he is such a grumpy man, but for Iris, he will do anything. He will drop everything and anything just to be with her. A little about the Dreamland Billionaire series. It's about 3 brothers. Each one gets their own book, but their grandfather had passed away and he owned kind of like like Disneyland, this amusement park full of adventure and joy, and he is giving up a little bit of inheritance for each one of them, but they have to complete a task to get it. Anyways, Declan's task is to get married and have a kid. Iris is his assistant, basically right-hand man. She does a whole bunch for him, business-wise and just everything. And so she is trying to find him a wife to kind of do this marriage of convenience, and the wife backs out, and so she's like, you know what, I'll volunteer. And so they themselves get into a marriage of convenience, and it's literally the cutest thing ever because he is so gentle with her, even though he has this like icy cold exterior, and it's just so sweet to read. She is also a badass. Like, I really love her. She stands her ground. It was a good book. I liked it. 4 stars. I think I would give it 5 stars now based on like how many years I've been reading now, because I read this when I first got into reading. I think this was like 2022 or 21. This was definitely one of the first books when I was kicking up my reading journey back in college, and so now that I have a few years later and I've read a bunch more books, this is definitely a 5 stars. It is amazing. It is so entertaining. It did exactly what a book needed to do. Took me away from this world and I could enter another one, and it was just so cute. Like, it was just so fun. You can't go wrong with A Grumpy Sunshine, marriage of convenience, strong female characters, fun, adventure, spice. It's great. You just can't go wrong with it. The next book, I think the plot is so freaking similar, but it also is like not at the same time. It is The Inheritance Game by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This one, similar themes. It's about these 4 grandsons who their grandfather passed away, and he, instead of leaving the inheritance to the 4 grandson, he leaves it to the strange girl in Connecticut. And this grandpa was like a billionaire, like a trillionaire. He had lands on lands, legacies, businesses, philanthropy, just everything. Like, he was a trillionaire basically. He just owned everything. And she was like, okay, why me? And so she goes to Texas to find out what this really is about. But the grandpa loves to play tricks and he loves mysteries and riddles, so he leaves little clues here and there for them to solve, the 4 grandsons and her, to solve why this was a conclusion after his death. And I thought it was very cute, very fast paced. I ended up giving it a 3.5 because I personally thought the romance was kind of unnecessary. I know there are a lot of like Team Jameson, Team Graysons out there, but for me, I just couldn't really buy it. I thought the plot in itself of like this mystery girl getting an inheritance from their grandpa is good enough. Like, sometimes I even thought the romance distracted from the plot, but that is a different story. But overall, I think it's very fun, entertaining if you're into mysteries and you want something that you can read in just like a couple days or even in one sitting. This is a good one. Let's jump into an adult romance because that last book was a YA romance. I have Taste Like Shakar. I freaking love this book. I think it is so cute, so charming and witty. It's also like a workplace romance because they are working together to help plan their best friend's wedding. There's a lot at stake and they need to put aside their differences to make this work, and I really love the way they just complement each other. I think they are such a dynamic duo. Like, their personalities merge so well despite kind of being this like enemies to lover situation. They literally are the same person divided into 2. So it's kind of like you look at it from the outside and you're like, okay, why are you not together? And then you kind of get closer and you're like, wait, you guys are enemies? That doesn't make sense because you guys are the same person. They're both super career driven. My leg is asleep. They're both super career driven. They're just so focused on their work. She is an events planner and he is in like the food business industry situation. Like, he has restaurants. They're really focused in their career and they invest a lot in it. I love the way the relationship builds as they got closer, as they worked better together. Things really kicked up. It wasn't just like, oh my gosh, we just like gave in like one day. It was definitely like a good build-up, and it's so numb. It's like tingling. There's also a really good long distance aspect because she's on the East Coast and he's debating on settling down on the West Coast for his businesses. So there's a lot of that, like, will this distance be okay? So I really highly recommend this one. I think it's such a fun read and I gave it a 4 stars. So I know I said that these are all books I've read before, but this one is kind of like a caveat. This is Ignite Me. It's part of the Shatter Me series, which has Shatter Me, Restore Me, Ignite Me, then Unravel Me. I think that's how it goes. I might be mixing 2 up. It's been a long time since I read it, so I'm like, how do I explain this? It is about a secret society looking to overthrow the bigger government. Is that even how you would describe it? Let's just get into the characters. There's Aaron, there's Adam, and there's Juliet, and there's also Kenji, but I feel like I haven't got to know him well enough, but he is really, really funny. Juliet has a secret power. She's really strong. When she touches something, it kind of just, boom, explodes, fights. Like, there's a strong force with her. And so Aaron and his like father's society really wanted her as kind of like a weapon, use her as an asset to their team, but she ends up joining Adam into this secret society. I forgot what it was called, but everyone there has a secret power, kind of like her. Everyone is different, and so it's kind of like two governments going back and forth. I feel like I'm doing a really bad job at describing this, but that is all I know for now. But also, I'm not at the book yet. This is like the book where everyone is like, I hate Adam, I am forever team Aaron, and Aaron is like the best book boyfriend ever. I feel like I'm indifferent since reading the first two books. Like, Aaron exists and Adam exists. Definitely was a lackluster review, so sorry about that. Next up, let's talk about the book I'm currently reading. I am almost done with it. I have like 1/4 more to go. I switched over to my Kindle, so things are going a lot faster, but I freaking love this book. It is so cute. I love the female main character. I love the male main character. He is a lover boy. He is a golden retriever, and she's definitely like black cat energy, but once you get into her head, you understand why. You're like, you know what? It makes sense. You have daddy issues. And we can't blame her. We're not gonna blame her for issues that her father created. So I love her. I love her. I love him. And they're both like amazing. I feel like you've heard about me talk about this book a few times on my channel, but captain of the hockey team, she's working on her grad application, and they have to work together because she has to do research on hockey, and he was in trouble with his coach, and so his coach volunteered him to do this project. I felt like their relationship built up super well. Like, you really got that tension, that banter, and now that they're like kind of together in this like situationship, not official, but definitely hooking up, I love that the banter still remains, and I love that they're just so communicative, and he is just obsessed with her. He's such a lover boy. Like, he really is in love with her. So I'm excited to see how the rest of the story goes. It's just so entertaining. When you pick up a hockey book, you're just kind of like, it's gonna be a good time. And it is a good time. Lastly, in my book collection, I have Twisted Lies by Anna Hong. This is the last book in the Twisted series. I have not read the Twisted series in a long time. I think I started reading it in 2020, and I just kind of went crazy and like read all the books. And then when this one came out, I read it like day of. And so since then, I haven't really touched it. And sometimes when I think about it, I miss these characters. I even annotated this one when I was in my annotation era. This one is about Christian and Stella. Christian is basically her landlord. He's just this billionaire, like investor. He owns a cyber security system team. Business, not team. I feel like sometimes when I get really rushed, I just start saying words, and sometimes they just don't make sense, and I start jumbling them, and I'm kind of like, why don't I take a break? Why don't I let myself pause, let my thoughts come together, and then talk? Sometimes I like have to fill in the void. This is another story. And Stella is an influencer. She's like a social media blogger. Basically, long story short, she has to end up moving into the penthouse with him because she has a stalker situation, and he just wants to keep her safe, but he's also intrigued by her. Like, he has a crush on her for the longest time, and when her and her friend were renting this apartment, they were definitely under budget. Like, they just wanted to pay like $1,000 or something, and I think the price was like 10 grand, and he was like, sure. Just because he had a crush on her, he gave her rent for $9,000 less, which is like, okay, in this economy, that's everything. So he's super obsessive and protective over her. They have to get into a fake dating relationship because she wants this business deal or this collaboration partnership, and she feels that having a secret boyfriend on her Instagram will really like kick up and have more engagement on her accounts. And so he's like, I'm down with it. This is a really good wrap up to the series. I really love the ending, the epilogue, and how the friend group just kind of formed into this like cute little community, especially like all the girls. Like girlhood is definitely there. They're all girls. They love each other and their partners are very entertaining to read. Like they definitely are like, okay, I'm here for my girlfriend, but like I do like you, but they won't admit that. That's like how they kind of roll, and I think it's just so funny, except for Josh. Like he will always say he loves them, which I think is really fun. Anyways, thank you everyone for listening to me talk about a bunch of green books, and I hope you got some good recommendations out of this. Let me know a book that you recommend that is green, or it doesn't even have to be green. Just comment down a book you think I should read and I will look into it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy, and I'll catch you on the next video. Bye.